Hi guys, and welcome to the 30-day Beach Ready program. Just want to give you a quick introduction of what the program involves and also some of the differences from how our normal nutrition plans work, just so you know what you're in for. So just want to start with the basic rules of weight loss. So essentially, to lose weight we need to have a negative energy balance, and this means that the calories that we take in is less than the calories that we're burning off on a kind of daily, weekly, monthly basis. In general terms, 3,500 calories of deficit equals 1 pound of weight loss. So, for example, 500 calories short of your metabolism each day would give you a weight loss of about a pound a week. Obviously, weight loss fluctuates in terms of water and things like that, so we've got to consider that. So, you wouldn't even if you had a 3,500 calorie deficit every single week, you wouldn't always see 1 pound of loss on the scales, but it would tend to average out over time. Now, in these real simple terms, it doesn't actually matter what the source of calories are for the weight loss. Whether it's high carb, high fat, high protein, equal balance of all of them, it just doesn't really matter. Neither does the time of eating, the type of food, and the number of meals that you have each day. These also have quite little impact on weight loss. So these are all the types of things that we normally talk about. So you might be wondering why we always focus on these things. I'm going to cover that in a little while. But basically, for pure weight loss, it actually doesn't matter. The only thing that actually counts is a calorie deficit. Now, all successful weight loss programs are successful because they create a calorie deficit. However they do it. If you're fasting, the reason it works is it's a calorie deficit. If you take our kind of more Paleolithic type approach, it creates a calorie deficit. If you do Weight Watchers and you follow the plan, if you do Slimming World and you follow the plan, if you do the Cambridge diet, if you do a detox, the weight loss tends to be a calorie deficit. Now, those of you that have done a detox with us before will know that a lot of the weight loss is also from water, and there are very specific things you could do to manipulate that, so you do lose more water that you might not have done if you were on, say, a low calorie but high carbohydrate approach. You might not lose as much water. So therefore there are things you can do to kind of increase the amount of water that you lose, but essentially as far as kind of fat and muscle loss in terms of weight loss, it's the calorie deficit that creates the results. However, the following things are affected by the type, the timing and the frequency of the meals. So first of all, the quality of weight loss. So how much of the weight loss is fat versus how much is muscle? How easy is it to maintain a calorie deficit without feeling hungry or having low energy? And how your metabolism responds to the weight loss plan. Essentially, all of these things are why we tell you, for example, to eat more protein, have less carbohydrates, maybe carbohydrates after exercise, whether we tell you to eat little and often through the day or 3 meals a day. These recommendations are not based upon kind of the actual weight loss, but it means it's easier to stick to the plan, and it means that more of the weight loss will be fat loss rather than muscle loss. But as I said in the slide before, in terms of pure weight loss, that they don't have much of an effect. But it's just easier with the right approach to continue the calorie deficit for longer, and that's really why we do recommend what we do. So this is our normal approach. We increase protein to keep you full and stimulate metabolism. We reduce carbohydrate to keep your blood sugar controlled, and this prevents you from overeating, and it also prompts the body to try and burn more fat instead of sugar. So the more sugars you eat, the more carbohydrates the body will tend to burn when it needs energy. The less sugar and more fat, you're actually encouraging the body to use fat more for energy. For the same reason, we actually increase our fat intake to maintain energy and encourage fat burning. We also use strength training, which builds muscle and helps keep a high metabolism. And we use interval training to spike this metabolism and to burn more calories. And by doing all of the above, we create a natural calorie deficit in most of our clients without having to count calories. And most of the time, people don't feel that they're dieting. They don't feel that they're kind of restricted and hungry all the time. So that's kind of why we normally do what we do. And all of those rules will really remain, apart from a couple of them, with this 30-day program. However, these are the kind of downsides to that normal approach. First of all, some people take a few weeks to find the right amount of food intake to get to the deficit. Plus, after an initial weight loss, a few of our clients unconsciously increase their food intake even though it's the right foods, and then they reach a plateau. So with both of those things, there's a preoccupation with, as long as I eat the right foods, I'll be okay, which in probably 90% of the time is correct. But there's 10% of the time when a client can just maybe eat too much of those foods and still have problems with weight loss. On top of that, very occasionally, the occasional treats that clients allow themselves can offset the positive nutritional changes. So we don't tell people to not have cakes and chocolate and whatever. We focus on eating plenty of protein, plenty of vegetables, plenty of water intake, some good fats. So their desire for sweets and chocolate is much, much less. However, they still might have the odd sweet and then the odd bit of chocolate. And most cases, again, 90% of the time, this actually won't offset the results, but sometimes it does. So in order to avoid the above and leave nothing to chance, we need to be more precise about your nutrition plan, and that's what we're doing in these 30 days, so we can get straight to it. So what we're going to do in the rapid weight loss plan is calculate your calorie requirements based upon your estimated metabolism. We're also going to calculate your protein requirements based on your muscle mass, because protein intake is the essential component of the program to maintain your muscle mass and to prevent a big drop in your metabolism. If you don't eat enough protein during this program, your weight will rebound much, much faster, and we really want to avoid that. You can pretty much have unlimited amounts of fibrous and non-starchy vegetables. I'm going to cover this in more detail later on. I just want to give you a basic intro so you know what you're in for. But really, this is any green veg, salad, stuff like that. No sugars or complex carbohydrates, and this does include alcohol. Again, if you're telling me you've got 30 days to get into the best shape possible, we probably can't include alcohol in that program. Now, here's the expectations. First of all, you'll lose the maximum amount of fat possible. Now, the science shows really that it's about 1.5 to 2 pounds a week is the maximum amount of fat. If you're losing more than that, it tends to be muscle and very little fat. There's only so much fat the body will allow you to burn off every kind of week. You'll probably lose additional weight on the scales. Now, this would tend to be, hopefully most of it would be water, but because we will be in quite a high calorie deficit, you probably will burn off some muscle, but we will replace this afterwards when we go back onto a normal plan, and we'll try and minimise this as much as possible. Now, there will be some potential side effects compared to the slower, kind of more realistic, sustained approach we normally use. First of all, there'll be an initial bit of low energy level, especially as your body gets used to not having all the carbohydrates that you might be having right now. You'll probably suffer from a little bit more hunger than normal, and hopefully we can just get accustomed to that. And there will definitely be a drop in metabolism, because there is a drop in metabolism on any weight loss plan. Even if it's our kind of non-calorie counting weight loss plan, you'll get results because you'll be eating less calories than your body needs, and as a result your metabolism will drop. However, the faster the weight loss, the faster the drop in metabolism, and we need to be aware of this because we need to offset this. So first of all, to maximise energy, we would suggest taking a multivitamin, and we would also suggest taking fish oil, which will help get your body used to burning fat for energy instead of the carbohydrates. To prevent hunger, I want you to be absolutely religious with your protein intake. So I'll tell you exactly how much protein you need each day, and I really want you to stick to that. And I want you to have lots of high fibre vegetables, and keep your water intake high. So water-based foods very high, and your just general drinking water. Now, the most important thing is to prevent a drop in metabolism, and these are things that we're going to do to achieve that. First of all, the strength training twice a week to stimulate the muscle, so we're trying to force your body to maintain that muscle mass and not burn it off. We also need to have what we call a free meal once a week, although we won't do this during the first 2 weeks. So for example, for the first 2 weeks we'll follow the plan fairly closely. After 2 weeks I'll tell you to have one what we call free meal, and I'm going to cover this more at another time. And again, not during the first 2 weeks, so after the first 2 weeks you'll have one what we call refeed period, which for most of you would be maybe a 5-hour window where you'd increase your calories, in particular from carbohydrates. So after that first two weeks, you'll basically have 1 day a week where you have 5 hours of increased carbohydrate intake, and this is just to keep your thyroid working, to boost the thyroid function, and to replenish any carbohydrates from the muscle, so you can exercise a bit more effectively and stuff like that. So, for example, if we start on a Monday, you'd probably have your first kind of free meal at the start of the week, 2 weeks later. And then probably you'll refeed kind of towards the end of the week. So you might have your free meal on a Tuesday and your refeed on a Friday, which means you can fit it in with maybe going out for a meal with the family, something like that. I'm going to cover that more in a few days' time because it's not going to be relevant for the first 2 weeks, but certainly just keep in mind that that's something to look forward to when you're on the plan, that once you've done the first 2 weeks, just as a bit of a detox and a bit of a kickstart, you can allow yourself a free meal once a week and then a refeed, which is also kind of a free meal, but will encourage more carbohydrate intake. So there's twice a week you can actually kind of let things go a little bit more. Hopefully that's good news. Now, what's also really, really important is a complete diet break. So with a complete diet break, every 4 to 6 weeks on any diet program, you should take a break and you should increase your calories just up to maintenance level. So you're not looking to gain any weight. You just want to take it to what would be maintenance, and you want to keep it there for 1 to 2 weeks just to get your body used to staying at the level it's at, and really kind of preventing any further drop in metabolism. And in fact, in that time, hopefully, your metabolism will pick up a little bit, and then you go back onto the weight loss plan, and that just prevents a plateau, and it prevents kind of a real rapid rebound, which most people get. It's also a bit of a psychological thing where you can look forward to that kind of week or two off the kind of diet plan. Training, we're going to do twice a week of resistance training, as I said, to maintain the muscle mass and the metabolism. We're also going to allow you to do optional low intensity training, so walking or running at a low intensity just for 20 or 30 minutes, nothing too strenuous, and maybe some stretching and maybe some yoga. We don't want to do any high intensity interval training, any boot camps, any circuits, any long distance runs. And the reason for this is, first of all, it will increase your hunger, and basically we're working your calories out very exactly with your nutrition. And if you've got the nutrition right, regardless of the training, you're going to get the results. If you do too much high intensity training, it increases the chance that you'll struggle with your nutrition because you'll be hungry, you'll have more cravings and stuff like that. Also, because your calorie intake and your carb intake is going to be so low, you're just not going to have the energy to recover from the high intensity sessions as much. So, you know, there's not so much benefit of training. We'd much rather you rest, recover, de-stress, relax, go for a walk, stuff like that. Because the other side of it is it will overstress your metabolism. If you're on very low calorie intake, and also then you're burning a load of calories with some interval training or circuits or stuff like that, that really stresses your metabolism too much. You'll hit a plateau much sooner and you'll rebound. So when it comes to weight loss, really more isn't always better. Now that rule is only for this kind of very rapid plan. If we're on a kind of much lesser calorie deficit, then yes, of course, we could include that type of training. And when we go on to the maintenance, actually one of the things you'd do, you'd increase your carbohydrate intake, you'd increase your calorie intake, but also you'd increase your kind of high intensity exercise as well. So again, if you really value that type of exercise, you can kind of look forward to that, and that would be in our longer term kind of weight loss programs. Now there are some supplements we'd recommend because you're going to be on a lower calorie diet. First of all, we'd suggest fish oil and 6 grams a day. So if it's 1 gram capsules, you want 6 of those each day. That's just again to keep your cells healthy, to get your body used to using fat for energy instead of carbohydrates. We'd also suggest a multivitamin or a green drink just to keep your nutritional levels up. And for the same reason, Himalayan salt or French sea salt, which is a really good source of trace minerals that you probably need. And just again, because the calorie intake on this plan is so much lower than normal, we'd suggest maybe getting some calcium and magnesium. And again, I'm going to cover that at another time. Because essentially, those things you would normally get from food sources that we're probably going to be avoiding on the program. So therefore, we're kind of, in order to reduce calories, automatically there will be a reduction in your nutrients. So we probably need to try and replace them. Now, what you're going to get from us on the program, you're going to get 2 times a week training in a small group. We're going to individualize your nutrition plan in terms of your protein, carb, fat and calorie intake. We're going to give you accountability support in the Facebook group as well as online over emails and stuff like that. We're going to reassess you after 2 weeks and 4 weeks. And then most importantly, and this really is the biggest thing for me, this is the only way we're going to offer this program, and it's a deal breaker, that we have to make sure that you go on to a maintenance and or a diet break program, because we absolutely know, and this is one of the criticisms we have of most kind of rapid transformation programs, they end up worse for you in the long term because people try and do them for too long, end up trashing the metabolism and get this rebound. So really, urge you to make sure you follow our advice on transitioning and don't just think, oh, I'm losing loads of weight, I'm going to keep going. Lose as much as you can in 4 to 6 weeks, go into a bit of a diet break, have that maintenance, then go again. That's really the secret to long-term success. So please don't follow the kind of more is better approach to this. Okay, that's it for now. Use the Facebook group, speak to us, book in for your workouts. We're here for you, so any feedback and everything anything you need from us, just shout out and let us know. Okay, fantastic guys, I will see you soon.